in one of the 12 times I passed, I remember getting out from my body and I was like on the top of the hospital and I was looking like hundreds of lines or tubes of light entering to the hospital, like from the people that they were sending like prayers or energy, and I was receiving all of that energy. I was like aware that in a way their prayers or their intention of me getting better, it was getting into me. Today's video is brought to you by Morgan & Morgan, America's largest injury law firm. If you've ever been seriously hurt, your injury could be worth millions. Morgan & Morgan doesn't settle for lowball offers. They've achieved some of the largest verdicts in recent months, like $26 million in Florida and $12 million in Philadelphia, far exceeding insurance offers. Their fee is absolutely free unless you win. Morgan & Morgan is committed to fighting for you if you become their client. If you've been in an accident, you're only a few clicks away from potentially changing your life. You can check out www.forthepeople.com/theotherside to submit a claim today. Morgan & Morgan will fight the compensation you deserve if you become their client. And remember, fighting big companies requires a big law firm. Morgan & Morgan is ready to take on insurance companies of any size. You can check out Morgan & Morgan today at www.forthepeople.com/theotherside or click the link in the description below. Don't wait. Take the first step toward protecting your rights. Hello everyone, I am Sudeva Jogananda. I lived a very unique experience in my life. 9 years ago, I passed away. I literally died. I had this infection in my intestines and the doctors couldn't realize what was it. So they did a lot of research from my blood, urine, everything, and they couldn't find out what was it. So I went to the hospital and the doctor, well, he was kind of trying to figure out what I had. And he sent my blood to Los Angeles, California, because in Mexico they couldn't find like properly what was it. So they couldn't find like a bacteria, a virus, or whatever it was. So the doctor gave me like 2 antibiotics just to make sure that it wasn't a bacteria that could be like there in my stomach, whatever. There was 3 days that I was like really sick, and the first day that they gave me those medications, my heart started beating so fast, like a tachycardia, like very fast, and then with a little of arrhythmia. And I was with my father in the bedroom and I told him, you know, I'm not feeling good, I'm feeling a little bit sick. My heart is not like bumping like normally. I feel I'm gonna fade. I don't know what's happening to me. So they called the nurse called the doctor, and they brought this thing to make an electrocardiogram of my heart. And the doctor was in shock because he said like, you're about to have a heart attack, but you're 29 years old. I think it's the machine. And they brought another machine, and the new machine said exactly the same thing. So just to be sure, what they did is that they took me to emergency room so they could have an eye on me like all the time. So what they did, it was like they put this thing to be hydrated and all the medicines and whatever. So instead of putting it like into the vein right here, they were trying to put it like directly to my heart from here. But in the moment that tube that was coming inside through the shoulder, it got stuck. And in that moment, I had my first heart attack. And it was something like fading, like when you fade and you see like everything in white. And in that moment, I totally lost. I was out of the body. I was out of this experience. And I was in a space that everything was in white. And my grandfather, he appeared there and he told me like, hey, what are you doing here? And I was like, I really don't know. And he told me, this is not your time. And I was like, okay, but I don't even know what I was doing there or not or whatever. But he told me to tell my grandmother that it was almost her time, and to tell her that he loves her and that he loves me. He told me also like to be expanded and connected with myself and to trust. And then I remember that I came back to my body and I was like, of course, in shock. I was with my eyes open again, and he told me, hey, where were you? And I was like, I was with my grandfather. And then I started like sharing the experience, whatever. But what happened, it was that I was allergic to the medication that they gave me, and they didn't realize about it after 3 days that I was taking the medication. So that caused me 12 heart attacks, and they brought me back 18 times. with the electroshocks, you know. So through the 12, I can remember that another time that I passed, I saw like this, it was like a coliseum, like the one from Rome, a little bit smaller, of course. And it was full of like of masters, philosophers, and things. They were all wearing white, and they were all giving me like advices of what to do, what not to do. Like, you're doing this right, try to focus in this direction, remember who you are. And I remember that I felt that I knew them all like from very, very long time ago. It was very amazing how I could connect. For me, it was like hours, but the real thing, it was like maybe 1-2 minutes that I passed, and then I came back. Also, I remember the times I passed away, there was like bubbles. It was a space, like it was a universe, kind of, but it was a space full of bubbles. And inside the bubbles, there were like small planets, and they were like full of soul family. Like each soul family, like they're all connected, but they were like reincarnating with the same soul family one over and over and over and over again. And that was kind of how souls are evolving together. And also there were like highest bubbles or highest planets, like from different frequencies of knowledge, of consciousness, that they could like see things in a more evolved way. Like they were like evolving. Some of them, they were like evolving right here, and some of them, they were like a little higher. Not that they were more important than the others, but the awareness that some of the planets or some of the soul families they were having, it was different from the one from the top. It was like higher. And of course there were like different realms, if you want to call it like that. And I remember that there were not only beings from human Earth, like planet Earth, there were beings from other planets, there were beings from different shapes, forms, and it was, I don't know, it was so amazing watching all that. And then I remember like I came back, and it was very shocking, especially for my parents. I lost so many pounds. My weight, it was 100 pounds. So I was like literally a skeleton. My grandmother was there, still alive. All of my family, all of my uncles came. They went to Mexico from the United States to literally say goodbye, because it practically, when a young man of 29 years old have a heart attack, like normally they die. Maybe they resist 1 or 2, but I had 12, so it was like really hard. And I felt it like if it was like a rewired thing that they did with me, like something that helped me like into a reborn, but with a different awareness. And all of my family, they were already like very much into the spiritual, not into religious, like more into spirituality. So the last day that I had like all of these processes, my mom was really very desperate. She asked me, please don't go. And I really didn't want to die, but at the end it was like most like a surrendering to life. Like I can do anything. It's like I cannot even decide what to do. It's like I am here living these experiences, and of course I would love to still be here with you, but it is not me to decide. And then I remember my mom, she really asked me like, don't go, please don't go, I will miss you. And I was like, you know, Mom, I saw this experience past like 3-4 years ago when I did ayahuasca in Peru, and I saw myself so skinny, and I saw that I was looking at the mirror and I was like practically a skeleton. And then in the vision I saw how this part of myself, it was being taken away from me, and it was taken into the universe, and it fades completely in the universe with like this symbol like of no smoking, this little red circle with a line. And I saw like that image, like no more, and that thing came out of myself. And I was like, I saw that, and I really feel inside of my heart that I'll be here. I really don't know. And my mom was, of course, suffering, so sad. Like you can even imagine how the family feels when a member of their family is about to die. So of course it was very hard for them, and for my siblings, or my dad. They were all the time there. Also my cousins, they were there. It was amazing how literally millions of people, they gathered into a prayer. In one of the 12 times I passed, that I remember getting out from my body, and I was like on the top of the hospital, and I was looking like hundreds of lines or tubes of light entering to the hospital, like from the people that they were sending like prayers or energy or things. And I was receiving all of that energy. I was like aware that in a way their prayers or their intention of me getting better, it was getting into me. And then the last day, which it was when my mom spoke with me, she and my sister Elizabeth, they decided to do a meditation of like letting go. So they went into themselves. They covered me in a blue light, and my mom told like to the existence. Do whatever it has to be. Do your will, not mine. And then she covered me in that light, also my sister. And I had the last of the heart attacks, which lasted like for 4.5 minutes, sort of. And that experience was one of the most beautiful experiences I've ever had in my life. And literally, I was nothing. There was no hell, no heaven. That doesn't exist. And I realized that the one that reincarnates one and over and over and again, it's not kind of like the soul, because the soul is like something that's everything. It was more like the mind. The mind is like the one that's reincarnating by telling its stories, and whenever you do not realize who you really are behind of all that those masks, then you reincarnate and over, and it's like the mind reincarnating, because in that space there was no mind. It was just silence. It was nothing. It was a nothing full of peace. And then I realized that when you die, you won't take anything. The only thing that you will take, it's your peace and the silence. It's the only thing that's like real in where I was. So like all of the angels, all of the structures, all of the programming, all of the imagination that we have created, like all of the things, spirits, whatever it is, it's also part of the imagination. But that space, there was no imagination, there was no mind. It was only peace. It was only love. The light from being like nothing, like a small part, started telling me, do you want to come back? And I was like, oh my God, going back with the humans. Oh my God. Because, you know, we're passing through a process of transformation or of inner awareness. But through the process, it's a planet that's full of density and a lot of things which are, of course, changing. Most of the people from Earth, they don't even know themselves. They just know their programming or their conditioning, their belief systems. So it's very difficult, like, get into them because of their structure. So I was like really doubting. But then I was like, I don't want to be egoist in that space where I was, because I really want to share this with the world. I really want to share this peace, this love, this no mind, this connection with everything that is from the nothingness we are. And then the light told me, well, it's your choice. But if you go back, you will open up a rehab. And it is not only a rehab of drug addictions or things like that. It's a rehab of consciousness, a rehab of awareness, a rehab of people that they don't even know themselves. Because the moment you start, of course, to know who you really are, who's behind of all those masks, who's behind the mask you created, there's only someone that's watching everything. When you really remember who you are, your inner being, then everything else can be just transformed. So the light told me, like, go back, open up the rehab, and you will meet someone with clear eyes. I don't know if they were blue or green, but it was like clear. And she or he will help you with the project which I am already like doing it. I already have my rehab in Mexico, and it's growing, of course. It's time more and more and more, but I'm just surrendering to life. I'm not trying to control. I don't have even a projection or even a dream or a goal. I'm just allowing myself to be, and from that beingness is how things, they just unfold like so easily, effortlessly. From this, it was like 9 years ago. It was year 2015, and a lot of things have been transformed. Anyway, remember the last meditation that my mom and my sister, they were doing? They surrounded me with this blue light, and I was in that moment with the light, and that lasted for 4.5 minutes. And the doctor said, like, we're gonna try it one more time, because I wasn't coming back, and we're gonna try one more time, and if he doesn't come back, we're gonna let him rest in peace. And they did me the electroshock here, and I came back. But in the moment I came back, I started throwing up blue. And it was so funny because I didn't have like any blue thing in my stomach. Maybe it was a medication, maybe it was something, I don't know, they injected. I really don't know what was it, but it was blue, and it was impressive because my mom and my sister, they told me about this blue light. And from that, I threw up this blue thing, and little by little from that day on, I started getting better. The studies arrived from LA. They could know what the virus was. It wasn't even a bacteria. They realized that I was allergic to the medication. They took me, of course, that medication out of my system. And little by little, I started getting better and better. After 1 week of when I came back, I went home. I couldn't even climb the stairs of my parents' house. I was so weak. And in between 1 month, I gained, I don't know, like 30 pounds. It was like amazing. And also I got fanatized about vegetarianism and all that for 2 years, and of course my body felt it, and I started like going down, 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 down. And from that day on, I just accept meat, I accept hands, I accept everything as a product of life that gives me life. But well, that's another thing. The thing that changed from that point, it is that I became way much more sensitive to people. Like I can really feel their thoughts, their feelings, their emotions, like really aware of them. And also I smell death. I smell death. Like there has been people that, I don't know, they have their mom or someone, a beloved one, that has been very sick, and there's nothing like to do with them, and I go like in this nothingness or this feel that I just feel it. It's always present, and then I feel it. It's like if she or he's gonna die or not, I just feel that. And that is very much similar than meditation. Like that awareness comes from no attachment, just watching, just observing. So that love or that freedom that you feel without to be attached to anything, it helps you like to be expanded and connected with everything else. So that really changed in me, and I don't know, it was like an expansion of love, an expansion of awareness, an expansion of connection with others. And here I am after 9 years sharing this to you on the path of awareness, consciousness, love, freedom. And that's what I do, and that's what I share, and that's part of my experience. Thank you very much for listening. Thank you very much for your time. Thank you very much, because if you are watching me right now, it's because we're in the same frequency. So a part of you, it's connected with this experience. And well, thank you very much. Have a beautiful one. We all fall when the lows in our eyes, staring lost up at the skyline. We all fall when the lows in